Hey guys, in today's video, we will bring you an incredible and moving account of a near-death experience that completely changed Magnolia Prescott's life. During her journey, she received a surprising revelation about the future that we all need to hear. Before we start, comment here from which city you are watching us. We really want to know. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more stories like this. Let's discover the mysteries behind this stunning revelation together. Hello, my name is Magnolia Prescott. I'm an ordinary woman, like so many others you can find out there. I'm 45 years old now. I work as a literature teacher at a local school here in Savannah, Georgia, and I live a pretty normal life with my husband Jonas and our twin sons, Eli and Isaac. But it wasn't always like that. There was a day, more than 20 years ago, that completely changed the course of my life. It was February 14th, 2001, Valentine's Day. Jonas and I were at the wedding of two college friends. I remember sitting in the church pew, the smell of fresh flowers in the air, the soft buzz of conversations around us. I should be happy, celebrating our friends' love, but there was a weight in my heart that I couldn't ignore. At that time, Jonas and I had been married for 5 years and had been trying to have children without success. Each negative pregnancy test felt like a little stab in the chest. Seeing all those happy couples around us, some already with children, others pregnant, only made the pain of our situation seem even more acute. As the celebrant spoke about eternal love and new beginnings, I felt a strange pain in my chest. At first, I thought it was just the emotional stress of the moment, perhaps a physical manifestation of my sadness, but the pain increased, becoming more and more intense. I tried to ignore her. I didn't want to cause a scene in the middle of the ceremony, but there came a point where I couldn't take it anymore. I turned to Jonas and whispered, "I'm not feeling well. I think we need to leave." He looked at me worriedly, noticing for the first time how pale I was. We began to stand up discreetly, trying not to disturb the ceremony. It was then that everything went dark. The last thing I remember was hearing Jonas's voice shouting my name, sounding far away, as if he were at the end of a long tunnel. And then, silence. What happened next would forever change my understanding of life, death, and everything in between. It was the beginning of a journey that took me beyond the limits of what I believed was possible. An experience that reshaped my view of the world and my place in it. This is the story of my near-death experience, an event that not only saved my life, but also gave me new purpose and a new perspective. It's a story I carry with me every day, a constant reminder that there is more to existence than we can see or touch. And now, after all these years, I feel like it's time to share it with you. When I opened my eyes again, nothing made sense. I was standing in the church aisle, but something was wrong, very wrong. I looked down and saw myself. My body was stretched out on the floor, Jonas kneeling beside me, his face contorted with fear and anguish. People crowded around us, some screaming for help, others in shock. It was a surreal moment. I could see everything happening, but I didn't feel anything. The pain in my chest that had tormented me moments before was completely gone. In its place was a feeling of weightlessness, as if I were floating. I tried to call Jonas to tell him that I was fine, that he didn't need to worry. But my voice made no sound. I reached out to touch him, but it went straight past his shoulder. It was then that the reality of the situation began to hit me. I was no longer in my body. I watched helplessly as the paramedics arrived and began resuscitation procedures. I wanted to scream, to tell them I was there, that I could see everything. But it was as if I were a ghost, unable to interact with the physical world. Time seemed to move differently. I can't tell you how long I stood there, watching the scene unfold. It could have been minutes or hours. I saw them put me in the ambulance, Jonas climbing in behind, holding my limp hand. As this was happening, I began to notice changes around me. The colors seemed more vibrant, more alive. Sounds that I hadn't noticed before began to reach my ears. Or was it my consciousness? It was as if I could hear the thoughts of the people around me, feel their emotions. Jonas's fear, my friends, concern, the paramedics, determination, and then I felt something pulling me. Not physically, of course, since I no longer had a physical body. It was more like an attraction, a calling that I couldn't ignore. I looked one last time at my body being taken away in the ambulance and at Jonas, wishing I could comfort him, tell him everything would be okay. When I turned towards the direction of the call, I saw something that I cannot adequately describe with words. It was as if the very fabric of reality was opening, revealing a path of pure, radiant light. The light was not blinding or uncomfortable. On the contrary, it was welcoming, inviting. Without hesitation, I took a step toward the light. The moment I did, I felt like I was being enveloped in a warm hug, like every atom of my being was being bathed in pure love and acceptance. All the worries, fears, and pain I carried with me simply dissolved, and so, I left behind the world I knew and embarked on a journey to a realm beyond human understanding. A realm of light, love, and wisdom that would forever change my perception of life and death. When I took that first step towards the light, I had no idea what awaited me. The feeling was indescribable, like diving into an ocean of pure positive energy. Every part of my being vibrated at a frequency I had never experienced before. As I progressed, I realized that I wasn't moving in the traditional sense. It was more like the light itself carried me, gently guided me where I needed to go. The concept of time as we know it simply did not exist there. It could have been a second or an eternity. To me, it made no difference. Little by little, I began to distinguish shapes in that light. They were not solid objects as we are used to, but rather patterns of energy, vibrating in perfect harmony. Colors I had never seen before danced around me, creating visual symphonies that touched my soul in ways I can't explain. And then, I felt it. I felt a deep connection to everything. It was as if every particle of my being was connected to every particle in the universe. I could feel the energy of countless other souls, all united in this cosmic web of existence. There was no separation, there was no self and other. We were all one. In this state of oneness, I experienced an unconditional love that was beyond anything I had ever felt on earth. It was a love that accepted everything, that didn't judge, that simply was. I felt completely at peace, completely accepted, completely loved. As I became accustomed to this new state of being, I began to realize that I could see, albeit not with physical eyes, much more than just what was around me. It was as if he had access to all the knowledge in the universe. I could see the past, the present, and glimpses of the future all at the same time. I saw the history of the earth unfold before me, from its formation to the present. I saw the evolution of life, the struggles and triumphs of humanity. I saw the connections between all things, how every action, every thought, every choice reverberated through the fabric of reality, affecting everything and everyone. In this realm of light, there was no fear, no pain, no worries. All the issues that plagued me in earthly life, our struggle to have children, my fears and insecurities, seemed so small and insignificant now. I understood that they were just part of a larger journey, necessary steps on a path of growth and evolution. As I took all of this in, I felt a presence approaching. It was not a physical figure, but a consciousness, an energy that emanated infinite wisdom and compassion. I knew instantly that he was there to guide me, to help me understand what I was experiencing. It was at that moment that I heard, not with my ears, but with my entire being, a voice that resonated with the love and wisdom of the universe itself. "Welcome, Magnolia," said the voice. "There's a lot to learn and experience here, but first you have a choice to make." And so, I found myself faced with a decision that would change not only the course of my life, but my understanding of all existence. A choice that would make me question everything I thought I knew about life, death, and the purpose of our journey in this world. The presence that manifested before me identified itself as Seraphiel. It was not a being in the physical sense we are used to, but an entity of pure light and energy. His voice resonated directly into my consciousness, full of compassion and wisdom. "Magnolia," said Seraphiel, "you are at a transition point. The path you choose now will determine the course of your spiritual journey. You have two options. You can continue moving forward, delving deeper into the mysteries of the universe and the essence of existence, or you can return to the physical plane, to the world you know." I was stunned by the magnitude of this decision. On the one hand, the peace and love I felt in this realm of light were indescribable. The thought of leaving this behind, of returning to a world of pain and fear and uncertainty, seemed almost unbearable. Here, I felt complete, united with everything and everyone. Why would I choose to leave this? On the other hand, I thought about Jonas, about our life together, about our dream of having a family. I thought about all the things I still wanted to accomplish, the people I loved and would leave behind. Was she ready to let it all go? Seraphiel, sensing my confusion, continued, "There is no wrong choice, Magnolia. Each path offers unique opportunities for growth and learning. If you choose to stay, you will continue your spiritual journey on a deeper level. If you choose to return, you will take with you the knowledge and the experience you gained here, although you may not remember it all consciously." I asked Seraphiel, "If I choose to go back, will I be able to remember all of this, to share what I've learned?" Seraphiel responded kindly, "The full memory of this experience may not be available to you on the physical plane. The human brain is not equipped to fully process the realities of this realm. However, the essence of what you have learned here will remain with you, shaping your perceptions and actions, even if you don't consciously remember all the details." I was silent for a moment, pondering. The choice seemed impossible. How could I decide between the peace and unity I felt here and the life I had left behind? It was then that Seraphiel said something that changed everything. "Before you make your decision, there is something you need to know, something that could influence your choice and the course of your journey." I felt a wave of anticipation wash over me. What could be so important that it needed to be revealed before my decision? Seraphiel continued, "If you choose to return, you will not be returning alone. You are carrying two new lives within you, Magnolia. You are pregnant with twins." The revelation hit me like lightning. Pregnant of twins. After years of failed attempts, of so much pain and disappointment, now in this moment between life and death, I discovered that our dream of having children would finally come true. Tears of joy, if one can cry in this state, seemed to flow through my being. The news brought a new perspective to my decision. It was no longer just about me, but about these two new lives that depended on me. Seraphiel, with infinite patience, said, "Take as much time as you need to reflect, Magnolia. This is a decision only you can make." And so, faced with this startling revelation, I found myself contemplating not just my future, but the future of an entire family. The choice before me took on a new meaning, a new weight. It was a decision that would shape not only my life, but the lives of two souls who had not yet begun their earthly journey. After the shocking revelation about my pregnancy, Seraphiel gave me a moment to process the information. When I finally felt ready to continue, he said, "Come with me, Magnolia. There's more you need to see before you make your decision." With a gesture that I cannot adequately describe with human words, Seraphiel transported us to a different place within this spiritual realm. Suddenly, we found ourselves in a breathtaking setting, if I still needed to breathe in that state. We were on the edge of a serene lake, its waters so deep and crystalline blue that they seemed to emit their own light. The lake was surrounded by gentle hills covered in vibrant green grass that undulated gently, although there was no noticeable wind. The sky above was a kaleidoscope of colors I had never seen before, subtly shifting in mesmerizing patterns. Seraphiel invited me to sit by the lake. There was no need for words. We simply settled into a comfortable silence. The peace that emanated from that place was almost tangible, wrapping around me like a soft blanket. After what could have been a moment or an eternity, Seraphiel began to speak. His voice, or rather his presence, radiated ancient wisdom and infinite compassion. Magnolia, he began, your journey on Earth thus far has been marked by challenges and trials. The struggle to conceive a child has tested your faith and strength in ways few can understand. But know that none of it has been in vain. Every tear shed, every hope dashed, every moment of despair, it's all part of a bigger plan. I listened, absorbing every word, feeling them resonate with a truth that went beyond logical comprehension. Seraphiel continued, the twins you carry are special souls, chosen specifically to be your children. They will bring great changes not only to your lifetime, but to the lives of many others. Your role as their mother will be crucial to their development and for the fulfillment of their individual purposes. I marveled at the idea that my unborn children already had a defined purpose. I wanted to ask more about it, but something told me that some mysteries should remain as such. However, Seraphiel continued, her tone becoming more serious. The road ahead will not be easy. There will be challenges, both personal and global, that will test your strength and your faith again. But always remember this moment, this connection you now feel with the universe and with the unconditional love that permeates everything. Then, Seraphiel did something unexpected. He extended what I can only describe as a hand of light toward me. If you are willing, Magnolia, I can show you glimpses of what is to come. This may help you with your decision and prepare you for what lies ahead should you choose to return. I hesitated for a moment, unsure if I was ready to see the future. But the trust I felt in Seraphiel and the desire to better understand what awaited me made me accept his offer. The moment I touched Seraphiel's hand, I was flooded with a cascade of visions. I saw my children being born, growing up, their laughter filling our house. I saw moments of joy and moments of sadness. I saw challenges that seemed insurmountable and triumphs that filled me with pride. But beyond personal visions, I also saw events on a global scale, drastic climate changes, political conflicts, surprising technological advances. I saw humanity struggling, but also coming together in inspiring ways. When the vision stopped, I found myself back on the lakeshore, feeling overwhelmed but also deeply touched by what I had witnessed. Seraphiel, her comforting presence as always, said softly, the future is not written in stone, Magnolia. What you have seen are possibilities, potential paths. Your choices and the choices of countless others will shape what truly becomes. I nodded, understanding the depth of what he was saying. With this new knowledge, this new perspective, I felt like I was finally ready to make my decision. A decision that would change not only my life, but potentially the course of the future. After the visions Seraphiel showed me, I felt a clarity I had not experienced before. The weight of the decision I faced was still there, but now I had a deeper understanding of the implications of my choice. I looked at Seraphiel, her presence radiant and comforting, and said, I need to return. There is so much to be done, so much love to be given and received. My children, they need the chance to live their lives, to fulfill their purposes. Seraphiel nodded, a gesture that conveyed not just understanding but approval. You made a brave choice, Magnolia. Returning will not be easy. You will carry the weight of this knowledge, even if you don't remember it all consciously. But know that you will never truly be alone. The connection you experienced here, the love you felt, will always be with you. He then approached, his energy enveloping me in something I can only describe as a spiritual embrace. Before you leave, there are some things you should know, warnings for the future. Seraphiel then shared with me information that made my being shudder. He spoke of great confusion that would spread across large cities in the future, of drastic climate changes, of challenges that humanity would face. Be prepared, he said. Remain vigilant. October 2nd, 2024 will be a milestone, a turning point for humanity. Be ready to act when that day arrives. I assimilated this information, feeling the weight of responsibility that came with this knowledge. But along with that weight, I also felt a renewed strength, a determination to face whatever the future held. It's time for you to return, Magnolia, Seraphiel said softly. Always remember the love you felt here, the connection to all that is. This will be your anchor in the difficult times to come. With one last look at the serene lake and rolling hills, I silently said goodbye to this realm of light and love. I felt myself being pulled back, crossing the same path of light that I had arrived on. The transition was quick and intense. One moment I was enveloped in light and peace. The next I felt a strong, painful tug. Suddenly the pain came back, the chest pain that had knocked me down in church. I heard distant voices, sounds of medical equipment, and then, with a sudden gasp, I opened my eyes. I was lying in a hospital bed, tubes and wires connected to my body. Jonas was next to me, his eyes red and swollen from crying. When he saw me awake, his face lit up with a mix of relief and disbelief. "Magnolia," he exclaimed, taking my hand. "Thank God. I thought I lost you." I tried to speak, but my throat was dry and sore. A doctor and nurse quickly entered the room, alerted by monitors that showed I had woken up. In the days that followed, I learned that I had suffered what doctors called clinical death for several minutes. They talked about how it was a miracle that I survived without apparent brain damage. As I recovered in the hospital, I struggled to process everything I had experienced. The memories of my journey into the realm of light felt hazy, like a dream that disappears upon waking. But the feeling of peace, connection, and purpose stayed with me. And then, about a week after leaving the hospital, the confirmation came that made everything feel real again. The pregnancy test came back positive. A few weeks later, an ultrasound confirmed it. They were twins. Looking at the flickering image on the ultrasound screen, Seraphiel's words echoed in my mind. These little beings growing inside me had a purpose, just like me. And together, we would face whatever the future held. The months following my near-death experience were a roller coaster of emotions and discoveries. Pregnancy, which for so long had been a distant dream, was now a palpable and double reality. Every little movement, every change in my body was a constant reminder of the miracle that was happening. Jonas was overjoyed, of course, but also notably worried. The scare of almost losing me was still fresh in his mind, and he became almost overprotective during the pregnancy. I tried to share parts of my experience with him, but I found that words were inadequate to describe what I had experienced. How can we explain colors that don't exist in our world? How can we describe a feeling of love and connection that transcends everything we know here? As my belly grew, so did my awareness that something fundamental had changed within me. The everyday worries that once consumed me now seemed trivial. I found myself looking up at the sky more often, feeling a connection to something bigger that I couldn't fully explain. Eli and Isaac were born one autumn morning, healthy and vigorous. Holding those two little beings in my arms for the first time was an experience almost as transcendental as my journey into the realm of light. Looking at their little faces, I remembered Seraphiel's words about the special purpose they had. What extraordinary fates awaited these two. The first few years were a mix of absolute joy and utter exhaustion. Between nighttime bottles and endless diapers, I occasionally had vivid flashes of my experience. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, as I rocked one of the babies, I felt that same deep peace that I had experienced in the realm of light. In those moments, I hugged my son a little tighter, grateful for the decision he had made to return. As the twins grew, I began to notice little things that made me think that perhaps they had brought something from that other realm with them. Eli had unusual empathy for such a young child, always the first to comfort a little friend who fell on the playground. Isaac, on the other hand, seemed to have an almost mystical connection with nature, capable of spending hours observing an ant or a leaf with surprising concentration. As the years passed, I found myself observing the world around me with new eyes. TV news about natural disasters, political conflicts, and technological advances took on new meaning. I remembered Seraphiel's warnings about the challenges humanity would face. I began to prepare silently, not with fear, but with calm determination. Jonas noticed the changes in me, of course. How could I not notice? The woman he married, so focused on having children and building a career, now spent hours meditating in the garden or reading about philosophy and spirituality. There were moments of tension between us, moments when he clearly didn't understand my new perspective on life. "What happened to you that day at church, Mag?" he asked me one night, after the kids had gone to bed. "Sometimes I feel like you came back, different." I tried to explain once again about light, about Seraphiel, about the feeling of unity with the universe. But the words seemed inadequate, trivial even. How to explain the inexplicable? In the end, it was love that kept us together. The love for each other. The love for our children. And perhaps, I thought, an echo of that universal love I had experienced in the realm of light. As Eli and Isaac grew into curious, compassionate children, I found myself thinking more and more about the future, not just in the immediate future of schoolwork and extracurricular activities, but in the broader future of humanity. Seraphiel's warning about October 2, 2024 was always in the back of my mind, a date that was inexorably approaching. What would this day bring? How could I prepare my family, my community, for what was coming? These questions kept me awake many nights as I watched my children sleep peacefully, unaware of the weight of knowledge their mother carried. But along with this concern, there was also an unshakable hope. I had experienced something beyond this life, something that showed me that there is more to the universe than we can see or touch, and this experience gave me the strength to face whatever the future held. As the years passed and the date Seraphiel mentioned approached, I felt a growing urgency to prepare myself and my family for what was to come. It wasn't a feeling of fear, but rather a calm, focused determination. I started subtly at first. I signed Eli and Isaac up for wilderness survival classes disguised as fun summer camps. I watched with pride as they learned to make fire, identify edible plants, and build shelters. Their natural abilities seemed to flourish in these activities. Eli with his innate empathy and leadership, Isaac with his almost mystical connection to nature. At home, I began discreetly stocking up on supplies. An extra closet here, some basement shelves there, non-perishable food, first aid kits, water purifiers. Jonas questioned it at first, but over time, he began to understand my need to be prepared, even if he didn't fully understand why. At the same time, I delved deeper into my spiritual journey. Meditation became part of my daily routine, and sometimes during these moments of stillness, I felt echoes of that deep connection I experienced in the realm of light. These experiences gave me strength and reminded me that no matter what challenges lay ahead, there was a greater purpose at stake. As Eli and Isaac grew into thoughtful, compassionate teenagers, I began to share more about my experience with them, not all at once, but little by little in late-night conversations and nature walks. They listened with a mixture of fascination and age-appropriate skepticism, but they never doubted the sincerity of my words. "Mom," Eli asked me one day as we walked the trail that led to our favorite camping spot, "do you really think something big is going to happen in 2024? I stopped for a moment, looking into my son's eyes. They reflected a wisdom beyond their years, a deep understanding that sometimes took me by surprise. "I don't know exactly what's going to happen, honey," I answered honestly. "But I know changes are coming, and I know you both have an important role to play." Isaac, who was a little ahead on the trail, turned to look at us. "Is that why you've been teaching us all these things? The survival skills, the meditation, all of it?" I nodded, feeling a surge of love and pride for my children. "Part of this is to prepare us for what may come, but part is because these skills, this connection to nature and to something bigger than ourselves, are valuable in and of themselves. They make us stronger, more compassionate, more capable to help others." We continued our walk in contemplative silence. I watched my children in front of me, so young and yet carrying a weight of responsibility that I sometimes wished I could take away from them. But then I remembered Seraphiel's words about her special purposes, and I knew I was doing the right thing by preparing them. As we approached 2024, I noticed subtle changes in the world around us. The news increasingly spoke of extreme weather events, of growing political tensions, of technological advances that seemed to blur the line between the possible and the impossible. Each headline seemed a distant echo of Seraphil's warnings. In our small town of Savannah, I began to notice signs of unrest. More people seemed to be preparing for something. Emergency supply stores reported increased sales. First aid and survival courses were always full. I decided it was time to expand our preparedness efforts beyond our immediate family. I began organizing community meetings, disguised as social gatherings, where we shared knowledge about emergency preparedness, sustainability, and community resilience. It was during one of these meetings that I met Maria, an older woman with bright, wise eyes. Something about her reminded me of Seraphil, although I couldn't quite explain why. "You felt it too, didn't you?" she asked me in a low voice, while the others chatted animatedly about rainwater collection systems. I looked at her, surprised. "What did you feel?" She smiled, a smile that seemed to contain the knowledge of ages. "The change that is coming, the call to prepare." At that moment, I felt a connection with Maria that went beyond words. It was as if we had shared a similar experience, even though we had never talked about it. "Yes?" I replied simply. "I felt it." Maria nodded, her eyes shining with a mix of worry and hope. "We have work to do, Magnolia. Many people to help, many things to teach. Time is running out." As I spoke with Maria, I felt a renewed sense of purpose that I had brought with me from the realm of light. I was not alone on this journey. There were others who felt the calling, who understood the importance of preparing not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally for what was to come. In the months that followed, I worked tirelessly with Maria and other community members to create a network of support and preparedness. We established community gardens, organized workshops on food conservation and first aid techniques, and create emergency plans for different scenarios. All this time, Seraphil's warning about October 2nd, 2024 hung over me like a cloud on the horizon. As the date approached, I felt a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. Whatever was coming, I knew we had done our best to prepare. And yet, in the quiet hours of the night, I would find myself looking at my sleeping children and wondering, have we done enough? Are they really ready for the role they will have to play? Am I ready to guide you through what's to come? We are just days away from October 2nd, 2024, and the tension in the air is palpable. Our little town of Savannah, like so many others around the world, is in a state of anxious anticipation. People go about their daily lives, but there is an underlying nervousness to every interaction. A worried glance cast skyward with each change in the weather. In recent months, we have intensified our preparations. The community meetings we started so long ago now happen almost daily. I see faces both familiar and new at every encounter, all united by a common sense of purpose and apprehension. Eli and Isaac, my dear children, exceeded all my expectations. Eli has emerged as a natural leader among the community's youth, organizing groups to help the elderly and most vulnerable prepare. His empathy and compassion became a beacon of hope for many. Isaac, with his deep connection to nature, has been tireless in his efforts to ensure we have adequate supplies of edible and medicinal plants. He spent hours cataloging and collecting species that could be vital in the days to come. Jonas, my husband, finally seems to have fully accepted the gravity of the situation. He has worked tirelessly, helping to reinforce homes, install rainwater collection systems, and organize evacuation routes. Seeing your dedication, even if it came from a reluctant acceptance of my vision, fills me with love and gratitude. As for me, I find myself in a position I never imagined I would be in. People began to look to me not only for practical guidance, but also for spiritual comfort. The experiences I had during my journey into the realm of light, the truths I learned there, have become a source of strength and inspiration for many. I began organizing meditation and reflection circles, teaching people how to connect with that same peace and unity that I had experienced. Many have reported profound experiences during these sessions, glimpses of a greater reality, feelings of cosmic connection, insights into their own life purposes. Last night I had a vivid dream. I saw Seraphil again, her presence as radiant and comforting as ever. He didn't speak, just smiled and nodded, as if to reassure me that we were on the right path. I woke up with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Now, with October 2nd quickly approaching, I feel a mix of emotions. There is fear, of course, fear of the unknown, fear of the changes to come. But there is also hope. Hope that whatever happens, we will find strength in our unity, in our connection to each other, and to something greater than ourselves. I think about everything that has happened since that day at church in 2001. The journey that has brought me here has been long and often difficult, but each step has prepared me for this moment. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. The visions Seraphil showed me were vague, fragmented. I know there will be challenges, perhaps greater than anything we have ever faced, but I also know there is hope. Hope in the resilience of the human spirit, in the strength of love and community. As the night progresses, I feel a peace settle over me. It's the same peace I felt in the kingdom of light, the certainty that, no matter what happens, we are part of something bigger, something beautiful and eternal. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, the world could be a very different place, but we will be ready to face whatever comes, ready to help those who need it, ready to be the light in the darkness. And so, on the eve of this great change, I close my eyes and offer a silent prayer to the universe. May we find strength in our union. May we remember the light even in the darkest moments. And may the love that brought us this far continue to guide us through what is to come. Tomorrow is uncertain, but our hearts are prepared. Whatever October 2nd brings, we will face it together, as a family, as a community, as part of that great cosmic tapestry that Seraphil showed me so many years ago. With that thought, I prepare for what could be our last night in this world as we know it. Tomorrow, a new journey begins,